NASA says not necessary for anybody to ask for files. No proof. We've seen nothing, no classified information that says that any extraterrestrial activity here. So let's check this clip out. The head of NASA was asked about the fact that the White House is called to declassify information about extraterrestrials and other things. And let's play the clip, and we'll talk about it on the other side. So check this out.
President Trump authorized the declassification of several records, UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, UFOs, extraterrestrial life. Look, you've got access to all kinds of classified information. Do you believe that there is life outside of Earth?
I would say, and this has absolutely nothing to do with classified information, as a lifelong space enthusiast since kindergarten, having been to space twice as an astronaut, it is hard not to imagine that somewhere out there across 2 trillion galaxies and however many star systems inside them with however many exoplanets and Goldilocks zones, like, yes, I have to believe that there is life out there somewhere. Do I believe intelligent life has visited Earth? I have not seen any evidence of that whatsoever, and nothing in any like classified files or historic documentation would ever support that. I have to believe it is out there somewhere. I believe that if we are able to get to Mars and bring back samples from Mars, we will probably, with like greater than 90% confidence, have some evidence of microbial life. Now, that is not the aliens we see in the movies, but it would be a proof point that there is life outside of Earth. I think it is inevitable, only a matter of time as more probes, more telescopes go out there and we venture out farther into the solar system, we will find that there is at least biosignatures outside of Earth.
Okay, there's a lot to take in from there. Now, the first thing you could do is say, hey, he's lying, paid to lie, he's full of crap. Of course he knows more. He's not going to tell anybody. He's got to keep the secret like everybody else. Might be fair to say. It could be fair to say, because let's take that point of view and saying that NASA has been part of it, because you look at the way NASA has covered it in the past, it's questionable. Where after, and they're not educated enough on certain things. Hear me out. When the David Grush aspect of it, when they asked, I can't remember who it was. It was James. I mean, well, I know James Fox asked the question, but I can't remember the gentleman's name that he asked. But this is the head of NASA at the time, the guy he was talking to, and he says, what were your thoughts on what David Grush said about this? And then it's like, oh, is that the guy who heard the thing about his friend and said this? It's like, how are you not educated on what was said there? If you're everybody in NASA should have been watching that hearing, and it should have been part of their job to watch that hearing. In general, everyone in NASA, this guy too, should be paying attention to everything that certain people are saying and finding out their credentials to see how much of it might be true. So you could say, well, yeah, until files are told to be declassified, he's going to stick with what they've been doing for as long as they've been told to do it. That's one way you could look at it. The other side is this guy's a fairly younger guy. He might not have access to the type of shit that's out there that other people have. When you look at what Marco Rubio said in that documentary, what other people have said, be it Stephen Greer or other people, that the presidents, when they come in, are looked upon as hired guns, that they're not told everything that the gatekeepers and the people who've been in charge of these things for 75, 80 years, whatever it might be. So those people, if those people aren't getting the information, then who's to say that this guy is going to get the information? Maybe the Lockheed Martins and the other people who are holding a lot of these things, they don't collaborate with NASA. Maybe there's some things that they know. Maybe there's other things that they don't. That's an argument that you essentially could 100% make. I just don't. I'm telling you, and I bring up that point again about the way that guy responded to that Grush thing, because the thing that he's talking about also, and why I say that everybody should be kind of locked into this, because my follow-up from what this woman asked, with this question would be, okay, so you're doing the thing that most people do and saying, do I believe that there's life out in the other galaxies from as much as it stretches on? Of course, I'd be silly or ignorant not to say it. And as a scientist and as someone in NASA, you would be ignorant to say that, and you didn't say that. And he gets into the Mars thing, which we'll talk about in a second too. But the question that would be brought up to me, or that by me rather, is the thing that I say all the time. Does it have to be from outer space? Is it possible that certain technologies, certain extraterrestrial, other things of that nature could be, with quantum physics and all these other things of technology that has been able to maneuver time-space? Is that a possibility? Is that something inside that definitively maybe not extraterrestrial by name, because, or definition rather. So is that the maneuver around inside the conversation, or would it be, no, haven't seen any evidence of that as well? That's a question that you could say down the line, well, I wasn't asked about that. I was asked about the extraterrestrial life, extraterrestrial flies, if I believe in it. And in pure definition, I do not believe that life from other planets have come here. And I'll tell you, I don't necessarily believe that either. I very much believe in the that a lot of these things that we have seen are this dimensional things and anti-gravity. It makes more sense to me. As I've said a million times over, with I just don't understand how you look again, and I bring up I know that if you've been watching long enough, you're sick of me making this example, but I want to bring it to people maybe who are watching this for the first time. 3i Atlas, which you've been tracking for months upon months upon months, and they say is moving fast or whatever it might be. Been tracking it for months, and it's moving fast. Months, because of the way it moves. So if something was coming from space here, you assume we would track it. The argument could be maybe this technology that they have that can maneuver differently in outer space. But to me, the manipulation of gravity and quantum physics and things of that nature, and the idea that it's somehow correlated to nuclear energy and those things, and what nuclear energy does with how Oppenheimer and the crew manipulated quantum physics to do what they did, and right after that, some more activity with UFOs. I think it all goes hand in hand, but that's my opinion. And he wasn't asked about that. He's talking specifically about extraterrestrial life. Now, here's my follow-up to the Mars thing, because he's talking about, if you see whatever it might be that they come back and bring from Mars. My other question would be this: how long's Mars been around? How much history do we know about Mars, of how long, what the formulated and all that, and how do we know if Mars didn't host life way before this planet even formulated or life formulated here? And how do we know that civilizations didn't live on Mars millions upon millions of years ago? Do we? I don't know. The answer very well could be yes, stupid. We already know that. I just, do we? How do we know? We think we know everything about this planet, about how everything started. Do we really? I don't know. But that doesn't, I don't know. Couldn't they also say there could be discovery of other things, of other civilizations that lived on that planet before the atmosphere was not livable? And then maybe at one point the atmosphere was livable for certain beings? Is that possible? It's questions that I'd want to know. Maybe they say, no, it's not possible from the way that the sun is now, but is that now? Was there any way that there was a shift? Was there any type of thing that was happening at the time? I don't know. But I'm not going to tell you what I think as far as do I think this guy is lying. I don't know enough about him. If it was Shankar Patrick giving this interview, it's like, yeah, he's probably lying. Because I just don't trust that guy to tell me, if he told me that the sky was blue, I'd still not believe him, Shankar Patrick. So that's different. I don't know this guy. I don't know anything. I don't know enough about him to say whether he's lying or not. Do I think NASA has lied? Yeah, 100%. I mean, NASA has been told to keep certain things quiet, of course. Do I think that some people are left out of things? Do I think that NASA gets maybe NASA heads get a lot of classified information and maybe they don't see everything in the same way? Yeah, of course. So I don't know. But the other major thing that happens here, and again, bringing it back to a topic that probably 2 years ago now, speaking of Shankar Patrick, when they did an interview where he just brought in a bunch of people that he didn't bring any reporters like a Ross Coulthart or Jeremy Corbell or anybody like that. They just brought in people that could tell their narrative or whatever. And essentially it was, we haven't seen anything, Arrow, nothing. It's all BS. Here's what it really is. Report that. So maybe, and people who see that headline, once that comes out, the regular people who aren't following this topic, they see it, they go, oh, it's all a bunch of bullshit. Okay, it makes sense. And so that's kind of the hope when you get NASA doing this from some of these people, you would assume, is that, okay, here, we're going to let this guy know that it'll get some headlines, it'll go through. NASA says that, this executive order, it doesn't really mean anything. We haven't seen anything inside of these files. So you're not, when the files are released, you ain't going to see shit because we haven't seen shit. And we'd be able to tell you that in general, we haven't seen any proof that says that. And we see all the classified stuff. And then people go, oh, okay, well, NASA knows, and then it's probably all nonsense anyway. That kind of stuff happens, and it's powerful. It's more powerful than you think it is. But we'll see. What do you think? Is this damaging, the fact that NASA says this? Or does it not mean anything? What do you think? Do you think this guy's lying? Do you think that he doesn't know? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. Very curious. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. We'll see you on the flip side.